Joseph Murphy lectured for many years that material wealth is not an accident, but determined by the dominant vibrational frequency that an individual generates in their consciousness. When Murphy investigated families that lived with chronic financial difficulties, he identified an intriguing yet unsettling pattern. These families kept, without perceiving it, an energetic atmosphere of scarcity that resurfaced generation after generation, like a corrupted file playing permanently the same music of scarcity. Murphy designated this mechanism as vibrational heritage. He stated that every family possesses a specific emotional frequency regarding money, a pattern that passes on through actions, veiled beliefs and emotional responses regarding financial obstacles. This transmitted frequency acts like a veiled instruction, dictating not simply what total someone can accumulate, but as well as their primordial connection with plenty. Murphy grasped that various money-related hindrances that he detected did not originate in ineptitude or bad fortune, but simply in the inherited vibration that any individual incorporated from the beginning of life. This epiphany completely changed the methodology in which Murphy approached economic metamorphosis. Rather than instructing merely money-making techniques or investment techniques, Murphy dedicated himself to a more fundamental principle, modifying the wave about money that each individual absorbed from their family. Murphy narrated extraordinary stories of people who managed to overcome this received resonance using precise systems of cognitive reworking. One of these cases focused on a merchant called Roberto, whose lineage went through a continuous pattern of bankruptcy that remained over generations. His grandfather had suffered the loss of everything in a disastrous speculation. His father had experienced failed ventures, and Roberto, although working obsessively, encountered himself recreating this same destructive cycle. Each time he was able to collect a considerable amount of fortune, an occurrence was triggered without apparent explanation, and the individual saw everything disappear. It was as if there existed an invisible agency blocking his voluntary efforts. Murphy taught Roberto personally for a long time, teaching him a central teaching that would be central in his entire thought. The subconscious mind does not differentiate between money you deserve and capital your family believes is appropriate. If in your essence resides the resonance that wealth is threatening, that growing financially is risky, that financial security is illusory or misleading, therefore your subconscious will function incessantly to keep you in this frequency, since it constitutes the true reality. The unconscious does not doubt. It solely performs the roadmaps that were installed in your being through experiential heritage. Roberto finally grasped that he was not slothful or deficient, he was structured, and conditionings can be transformed. Murphy expounded that when you modify the dominant vibration in your core, you change the command that you emit to your unconscious. It resembles restoring a system that was running with antiquated software which is defective. If the program finds itself adjusted, capacitated to receive only a specific amount of resources, then that will be precisely what you will earn, regardless of how much you strive. Murphy showed this principle using contemplative visualization systems that he had formulated in the course of decades. He directed his patients to spend about 5 to 10 minutes every morning, if possible as soon as waking up, when the consciousness remains in a receptive alpha state, conjuring the image of not just the arrival of resources in their existence, but essentially the deep feeling of confidence, genuine confidence and worthiness that connects this manifestation. Murphy proclaimed without any doubt that this living was the true key. It was not the wealth isolated that had importance for the transformation. It represented the frequency that the individual created in connection with money. With Roberto, Murphy began a process that he designated Ancestral Vibrational Transmutation, a practice that he had perfected through hundreds of successful cases. Roberto would have to, during a period of 2 months, dedicate a quarter of an hour each night at bedtime in a deepened meditative state. In this state, Roberto should recognize consciously the complete financial history of his ancestors. He should bring to mind his direct forebear experiencing the financial catastrophe, his progenitor confronting failed businesses, and all those ancestors who came previously taking like patterns. Then, mentally, Roberto should enunciate with real feeling, "I admit the story of you all. I deeply respect the pain you carried. I admire the path you walked and the adversities you experienced. However, now, in this sacred moment, I let go of this frequency of lack from my consciousness. I establish a new vibration for my ancestors, from now on, in my living movement of wealth. Opulence and financial confidence constitute the main vibration that rules my choices and my world. Murphy observed meticulously that when Roberto did this with genuine sincerity, with true emotional feeling that involved his whole being, something extraordinary began to happen in the external world. Roberto's financial situations began to reorganize subtly, but surely. An opportunity that Roberto would have previously rejected out of fear or mistrust came to be seen under a new illuminated perspective. An old client returned with a substantial project. An unexpected scholarship for his daughter appeared at the exact moment when her education was a financial concern. None of this was coincidence, Murphy explained with conviction. It was simply the natural and inevitable consequence of an altered vibration. When you change your internal vibration, the entire universe needs to reorganize itself to correspond to this new frequency you have established. People, opportunities, resources, everything begins to align differently in your life. Murphy developed a concept that he designated Law of Vibrational Correspondence, a principle that he had verified in hundreds of cases. This law sustains that the external world always responds perfectly to the dominant internal world. If in your psyche prevails with deep fear of scarcity, then the external world will manifest permanently, moments that confirm this dread and confirm your limiting conviction. If in your interior you resonate genuine security in your natural abundance, then the external world will reveal opportunities that nourish and increase this certainty. The most innovative element of this concept is that it operates without depending on your current state or your previous experiences. An individual totally indebted who changes their vibrational state to plenty will start, in a matter of weeks, to notice small changes that are observable. These modifications are generally slight at the beginning, but are signs of a real transformation. An unexpected expense is avoided since you determine to not make an automatic purchase. A possibility arises because you remained in higher emotional frequency to interact with a key individual. Your physical totality commences to oscillate in a distinct vibrational pattern. Murphy had a special interest in the family aspect of this transformation because he had observed an extraordinary phenomenon repeatedly. When a person changes their vibration and manages to maintain this change for a sufficient period, the entire family dynamic begins to reorganize deeply. Children who were struggling financially begin to prosper unexpectedly. Parents who faced chronic difficulties find new solutions and paths. It is as if this person, by raising their own vibration, pulled the entire lineage to a new vibrational level. Murphy explained this as a principle of family resonance. When a musical instrument begins to vibrate at a specific frequency, all other nearby instruments naturally begin to vibrate at the same frequency, even without physical contact. Likewise, when you establish a vibration of prosperity within you, all those energetically linked to you naturally begin to enter into resonance with this elevated frequency you created. To establish this change of vibration that was continuous and transforming, Murphy instituted a path divided into 3 phases that he judged extremely vital for success. The first stage is what Murphy called conscious ancestral recognition, and he insisted that it was ineffective to progress without ending genuinely this initial stage. In this pass, you must spend time sincerely welcoming the complete financial history of your lineage. This does not mean holding responsible your forebears or despising them with negative emotion. It equates to just viewing with perfect clarity what they lived, the deep wounds that they faced, the structures that they developed as a system of resistance in periods of difficulty. Murphy perceived that various beings sought to pretend this uncomfortable history, sought to make believe there was nothing, and this obstructed permanently the true transformation. It is absolutely impossible to let go of what you avoid consciously to admit. Murphy guided his patients to start this simple exercise, which is transformative. At night, preferably when preparing to sleep when consciousness stays more receptive, position yourself in absolute silence. Perform breaths deeply repeatedly, and on the mental plane, think deeply on your family. Imagine the images of your predecessors, recognize the adversities that they faced, Communicate on the mental plane with sincerity something like, "I recognize that you, my progenitor, passed traumatic losses that created deep dread in your mind. I recognize that you, my progenitor, instituted survival strategies that were transmitted forward over generations." Murphy explained that this recognition is deeply healing on a spiritual and psychological level. By recognizing the story, you take this story out of the unconscious, where it operates silently controlling your actions, and bring it to the full light of consciousness. In this clear light, it loses the power to control you automatically. It ceases to be something that controls you like a puppet and becomes something you see with absolute clarity and can choose to transform. Murphy used to say with emphasis that nothing that remains unconscious can be truly transformed. Everything that is brought to consciousness can be worked on, can be dissolved, can be rewritten in a completely different way. This first stage should be practiced for at least 2 weeks every day with genuine emotion and complete attention. The second stage of Murphy's method is what he called declared vibrational disconnection, and he was absolutely clear about its critical importance. In this stage, after consciously recognizing the ancestral story, you must declare with authority that this vibration of limitation will no longer be the dominant force of your life. Murphy was not in favor of a vague or intellectual approach in this stage. He demanded genuine emotion, clear intention, and deep commitment, not just to the words, but to real transformation. After recognition, still in your moment of silence at night, Murphy instructed his clients to place their hand over their heart and say with unshakable emotional firmness, "I completely release the vibration of scarcity that was inherited through generations. I unlink my conscious mind from every pattern of financial limitation that belonged to my ancestors. I allow my soul to be the genuine and true origin of my prosperity and abundance. From this moment, the dominant vibration I establish and maintain is that of conscious abundance, genuine confidence, and unlimited flow." Murphy clarified that this confession performs for it institutes a new force in your being. You do not place yourself rejecting your lineage or your history. You stay simply exercising your sacred right as a conscious creature who is autonomous to choose a new resonance. Murphy had witnessed countless cases evidenced where this proclamation, when realized with true emotional sincerity, created an energetic rupture so strong and radical that visible modifications started in a matter of days. He maintained recorded situations where beings described vivid dreams and extraordinary dreams in the moments subsequent to the affirmation. Dreams in which their predecessors gave the impression of to confirm this alteration with discreet consent and vibrational acquiescence. Although Murphy was a systematic investigator who was rigorous in his general approach, he recognized that there were occurrences that surpassed strictly material reason and analytical logic. The third stage is the one Murphy considered absolutely the heart and soul of the entire vibrational transformation. He called it continuous vibrational re-establishment, and it was in this stage that the real work of rewriting your financial reality happened. In this stage, you not only dissolve the old problematic vibration, but actively establish a new vibration that becomes your dominant pattern. Murphy was extremely specific and precise about how to do this to achieve real results. After the declaration of disconnection, still in their deep and receptive meditative state, Murphy instructed his clients to visualize a field of golden, luminous, and living energy completely enveloping their heart, radiating to their entire body. This field is not vague or abstract. It is real, intensely felt in the body, palpable like a transforming physical presence. Murphy frequently asked his clients to describe in precise detail how this golden field felt in their physical body. Some described gentle and comforting heat. Others described deep and enveloping safety. Still others described an extraordinary sensation of expansion and freedom. While he sustained this sharp image and lived, Murphy directed with firmness, "Say internally with total conviction, my dominant vibrational pattern now establishes itself as awakened abundance. My bodily structure oscillates perfectly with economic security. My unconscious mind establishes itself completely renewed, capacitated to receive with generosity, to earn completely, and to maintain permanently abundance." My field finds itself aligned entirely with perspective, unlimited flow, and unlimited growth. The scarcity that was inherited extinguished itself entirely eternally. The wealth that represents my original divine heritage installs itself now as the eternal truth of my being. Murphy stated unequivocally that these sentences must be uttered not mechanically out of habit or in a shallow way, but with authentic, intense emotion, with truth that springs from the chest, as if you existed manifesting the supreme truth and basic of your total being. Murphy observed that this third stage is exactly where most people faced significant difficulties in the process. They managed to do the first two stages with some success, but in the third stage, the rational mind began to doubt and question. How can I say I am prosperous if I have significant debts? How can I say my vibration is abundance if my bank account tells another story of limitation? How can I declare what only my current reality denies? Murphy had a clear and transformative answer for this. He explained that the rational mind does not govern true reality. Vibration governs reality. The rational mind is merely a tool that describes retroactively what vibration has already created. If you want to change what the rational mind describes, you must first change the vibration at the root. Murphy used a potent and transformative metaphor. He said that vibration is like the root of a tree, and visible financial results are like the branches, leaves, and flowers. If you only look at the visible branches and try to change the tree by pruning the branches, you will never achieve real or lasting change. But if you change the fundamental root, the whole tree changes inevitably. Murphy recommended that this final phase be fulfilled every day, without exception, for a term of 40 days in a row. He had chosen this interval of 40 days, since he had observed in diverse cases that it was justly the required interval for a new vibrational pattern to establish itself completely as the prevailing pattern in the deep nucleus of the subconscious mind. The first 2 periods of a week are about rooting and fixation of the new frequency. The new frequency still seems fragile and transitory. It still struggles intensely with the old frequencies that resist remaining. In the period of 15 to 28 days, something radically alters and frees itself. The new vibration commences progressively to acquire true power, to perceive more spontaneous and true, more real to your heart. Between days 29 and 40, so the new frequency finally firms itself as the predominant vibration that determines your reactions. Ended 40 days of constant application and sincere effort, Murphy identified that his patients shared an emotional alteration so radical that it was perceptible even to uninvolved people. The terror that stagnates in relation to money reduced considerably until dissipating. The remorse of prospering and receiving extinguished itself totally. A certainty which was restful, radical, and unshakable in the financial future started to arise spontaneously from your core. Murphy had a particular and very effective method to help his clients maintain absolute consistency during these critical 40 days. He recommended they keep a simple and honest journal. Each night, after completing the full ritual of the 3 stages, they should briefly note what they felt and observed, not for heavy intellectual analysis, but simply to deepen the experience and root it. Murphy observed that when people recorded their experience in words, the practice became more concrete, more real, more irrefutable. He also recommended that during these 40 days of transformation, people be particularly attentive to the small signs of change that appeared. A small but significant opportunity that arose unexpectedly, an unexpected expense that was providentially avoided, a casual conversation with someone that led to an interesting and unexpected possibility. Murphy taught that vibrational change does not typically begin with spectacular and dramatic results. It begins, always, with small synchronicities indicating that vibration is genuinely changing at the deepest level. Murphy accentuated a critical element that many despised absolutely in their execution. During these 40 days of disciplined practice, the concrete acts equally carry critical significance. The resonance establishes the necessary foundation, yet you still lack to develop the courage in acting. If an opportunity emerges on your life path, you necessitate to have the valor to explore it sincerely. If an idea sprouts about how to raise your earnings or to expand your revenue flows, you have to be willing to implement it with decision, Murphy referred to this as aligned action, and it was completely essential. It constitutes the attitude that surges organically as your vibrational pattern has transformed to fullness. This attitude configures itself as substantially dissimilar from the desperate action grounded in dread. It is movement that is firm, clear, natural, and exact. Murphy recognized that once those who sought him preserved the appropriate frequency and acted regularly in harmony with this vibration, the doors surged in ways that prior seemed totally unfeasible or close to miracle. The journey that the Master Murphy offered was essentially a journey of authentic liberation and deep. It did not constitute escapism from true obstacles. It was embracing the factual truth that you remained conditioned by ancestral inherited vibration and opting consciously and with authority to change this resonance fully. It represented admitting that you carry extraordinary strength not only to modify your own journey, but to modify the entire path and coming destiny of your complete family. This understanding represents authentic power in its most essential meaning, not the power just to conquer or to win against opponents, but the genuine power to transform, to modify vibrational pattern, to go beyond ancestral restrictions. This truth, Murphy instructed with unbreakable conviction, constitutes the real liberation, which is monetary and spiritual, that every conscious creature yearns for.